Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello, it's Bard here, or you can call me Sully, and welcome back to more of DC Month, where we now head to 3 years after Man of Steel had came out to look over the second film in the Snyderverse of the DCEU, which has been quite infamous for the time it came out. It's the film in which began a slew of origin stories, spin-offs, and sequels, of which, to put simply, is kind of a mess at getting things going. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Something to keep in mind is that I'm mainly reviewing the theatrical version of the film, as the other version, called the Ultimate Edition, contains an additional 30 minutes to the original 2.5-hour film, as a bonus movie to Blu-ray only. But to be fair, I'll also take a look at that one at the end and see which one had the better outcome. During the climax of Man of Steel, in which the world machines are destroying Metropolis and Zod and Superman fight, Bruce Wayne was in the city during this time as he tries to get one of his colleagues, or maybe friend or employer, named Jack, out of Wayne Tower, as it's one of the buildings destroyed by Zod and Superman in their fight. And amongst the rubble, Bruce's one colleague, Jack, is dead, one of his employees survived with broken legs, and one girl loses her mother in the destruction. Bruce then vows vengeance on Superman for causing all of this, as 18 months later, Bruce tries to obtain a piece of kryptonite that was found in the Indian Ocean after the World Machine was destroyed, and to use it as a means to kill Superman. All the while, Superman, who's been trying to do good, is seen by many for doing harm, namely for killing men that he never did, as he, as Clark Kent, finds out about Batman and what he does for justice, and will try to intervene his opponent to state his feelings for how he treats criminals. And in the meantime, Lex Luthor sees Superman as a god sent to do the devil's work, and in gaining access to Zod's ship and body, he plans to end Superman with a creation of his own. Now, based on the plot that I've summed up in the best way possible, there does seem to be a lot going on for what is, essentially, a starting point to a bigger DC universe. Or in this case, a starting point to more of the Snyderverse and Zack Snyder's Justice League. But the film on its own is just too all over the place, and it goes back and forth with the characters and their motivations. At least in this universe. For the most part, Bruce and Clark's reasons for hating each other's view on bringing criminals to justice do seem straightforward and simple, and not at all out of nowhere. It just so happens that it requires plenty of thinking and paying attention to see where both are coming from. Yet, Clark isn't interested in fighting Bruce, and tries to explain it, but Bruce is the one who made him fight. But I feel a majority of the movie's problems comes from the villain, Lex Luthor. Of course, he isn't the traditional and more recognized Lex from modern Superman properties, as this version draws from more obscure comics in which he not only had red hair, but also wants to destroy Superman, and in the Birthright comic is too smart to the point of going crazy. Yet, where it would work out on paper, the way he's played out here just feels pretty off, mostly coming from the performance. It comes off as being quite awkward and even unfunny, and I would get it if people call him Lex Luthor Jr., as he's running LexCorp from his father, and appears younger and quite unfit for the position. I mean, he's first shown playing basketball and even sticks a Cherry Jolly Rancher in a senator's mouth after gaining access to Zod and his ship. But the one line that made me laugh unintentionally the first time at how wrong it felt was Lex saying, "The red capes are coming." It was quite unbelievable how awkward it was done. And okay, I get that Lex is mentally unstable and is supposed to be intelligent, keyword being suppose. How much does he know how to figure out who Batman and Superman are, and even so, tried to have Superman kill him by framing him into killing men in Africa and the people inside the Capitol? Because that's what's going on in the film. I don't mind the idea of Lex framing Superman, but it would have made more strong if it was more focused on, and if some of the framing devices tie into Batman. Like, Lex made it look like Batman kidnapped Martha Kent as a means to get Superman to fight him, but here it was Lex who kidnapped Martha and won't let her free unless Superman kills Batman. Even though Lex wants Superman dead as he created a kryptonite monster, I assume as a backup plan, called Doomsday, using his blood with the body of Zod to make this deformation, since it's basically Zod's body, but morphed due to Lex's blood. Bruce already has his reasons to go against the Man of Steel, and Lex did start tying the two together by sending Bruce notes in red, making it look like Superman wrote them, so why couldn't he do more of it? Also, there's additional elements in the film that, while intending to continue the universe in Justice League, felt unnecessary for a film called Batman v Superman. Doomsday and the death of Superman at the end, establishing Justice League with quick cameos of Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg, Bruce's past in the opening credits, and even Wonder Woman, despite being a small character and helping Batman and Superman fight Doomsday, is given little development here until her own movie the following year. As for the fight between Batman and Superman, it seems rather lackluster with how short it is and how it all takes place in one location with how little build-up there is to it and how fast it arrived. However, that's all the stuff I found not to work in this film, for there are some stuff that I did like, even if it isn't much. The action is pretty interesting, and that includes the fight with Doomsday and the titular fight too, and it made sense why Batman used the kryptonite on a spear for last, as he's getting his opponent weak before making the final move with all the stuff he prepared beforehand. And that one scene where Batman and Superman first met, after a nice and fun car chase of Batman and his Batmobile chasing after a truck carrying the kryptonite, I can see that as seeing that Superman just wants Batman to stop being a vigilante and to stop treating criminals in his own way. It's as simple as that. The effects look really good on par with Man of Steel, some epic music from Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL. The moments with Bruce and Alfred, and Bruce's past, despite being unneeded, is well executed. And despite there being lots of dialogue and imagery of Superman being Jesus, which is more than how Man of Steel did it, is alright. It gives him more of an arc on his purpose of living on Earth, even when he also has plenty of haters. And for how Superman and Batman stop fighting, their mothers have the same first name, Martha, which may sound silly, but gives a reason for Batman to redeem himself. Also, from what I said in Man of Steel of the buildings being empty when Zod and Superman fought and people getting killed, I retract my statement, as only some of the buildings are empty, and this is only one instance of the mood seen from Man of Steel. But like I said, Superman's too busy fighting Zod, and can't be everywhere at once, as demonstrated in this scene, and more in the film as he's doing the right thing. The Ultimate Edition, though, is about the same as the theatrical cut, and my feelings towards it remains the same. But the scenes that weren't in the theatrical cut were more based on continuity of the story, and they do make the film better in some regards. The scene in Africa of Lois interviewing a governor who is supposedly a terrorist has a better introduction of Jimmy Olsen, and shows how he and Lois got to visit the governor instead of them looking like they've been kidnapped to get an interview. There's more to the CIA bit of Americans coming to end the governor instead of it only being Olsen. There's additional insight into Superman being framed for killing men in Africa, as they're seen being burned by Lex's men, and more of Superman's intro of him stopping an American drone from bombing the place, saving the women and Lois there. There's more explanation behind the bombing of the Capitol, as it not only shows Superman helping those who are injured, and explains how Superman couldn't see the bomb in the wheelchair, which I already figured out that Lex made it in the theatrical cut, when in the Ultimate Edition, it clearly states that Lex made it, but also that part of the bomb came from Wallace Keefe, the former Wayne employee who lost his legs in the rubble of Superman and Zod's fight, and had also had explosives in his home, as stated in the Ultimate Edition. Lex confesses to Batman that he's insane, which confirms his behavior throughout the film, more additional moments exploring Clark and Lois' relationship, a sneak peek at Steppenwolf for Zack Snyder's Justice League, and a few of the action scenes, most notably the attack in Africa and Batman fighting Lex's men in the warehouse Martha was being held in, are extended and more violent given the film's R rating for an occasional blood splatter, even though it's quite tame and not as overextensive as I initially thought it was going to be. But overall, the Ultimate Edition still has problems of having too many elements and Lex Luthor, much like the theatrical cut. But I would put this one over the theatrical cut for the additional and extended scenes, even if a few of them aren't necessary. Now I have mentioned some of the actors and their characters from Man of Steel, so I'll be looking over the new cast. And as for these actors that play their characters, mostly, they're pretty much alright. Ben Affleck plays Bruce Wayne/Batman. Jeremy Irons plays Alfred Pennyworth. Jesse Eisenberg plays Lex Luthor. Gal Gadot plays Diana Prince/Wonder Woman. Holly Hunter plays Senator June Finch. Scoot McNairy plays Wallace Keefe. Kellen Mulvey plays Anatoly Kienzov/KG Beast. Dao Okamoto plays Mercy Graves. Michael Cassidy plays Jimmy Olsen. And Robin Atkins performs Doomsday. As a whole, this film is about as mixed as it can be. The characters, for the most part, are good, the story felt very jumbled at times, and the effects are very good. While I wouldn't say it's the worst film from director Zack Snyder, I will say it's kind of a mess for being a starting point to the Justice League, at least the Snyder version. With character motivation that's either somewhat solid, go back and forth, or hardly established, a couple of unnecessary story elements, and Lex Luthor, while different for this universe, is pretty weak. Yet, I will say everything else about it still works, including some fun action, epic music, and interesting elements. And again, while my thoughts will make the theatrical version somewhat better, the film overall is just okay, though it could have been something more. So today, this movie we get a rating of 2.5 mixed stars. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and tune in next time for more of DC Month. And the Ultimate Edition will be given the same rating of 2.5 mixed stars, with a little thumbs up.